In the United Kingdom, if you are accused of libel, which is defined as the communication of a false statement that harms the reputation of an individual person, business, product, group, government, religion, or nation, the onus is on you, the defendant, to prove your innocence rather than the other way round. Should you lose, the costs can frequently reach hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds, so many accused of the crime simply settle out of court, apologise for what they have said, even though it might be true and verifiable in court, and proceed to guard their tongues in the future. Now, this is just as horrific as it sounds, and I strongly recommend reading You Can't Read This Book, Censorship in an Age of Freedom by Nick Cohen, just to see this lunacy in action and the global consequences that such actions can have. But sometimes the defendant stands and fights their corner. Sometimes what's at stake is too great not to defend. And that is what happened in the case of David Irving v Penguin Books and Deborah Lipstadt, in which British author David Irving asserted that Lipstadt had libelled him in her book denying the Holocaust. And since English libel law puts the burden of proof on the defence, meaning that it was up to Lipstadt and her publisher to prove that her claims of Irving's deliberate misrepresentation of evidence to conform to his ideological viewpoints were substantially true. As explained by the trial judge, Mr. Justice Gray, the burden of proving the defence of justification rests upon the publishers. Defamatory words are presumed under English law to be untrue. It is not incumbent on defendants to prove the truth of every detail of the defamatory words published. What has to be proved is the substantial truth of the defamatory imputations published about the claimant. As it is sometimes expressed, what must be proved is the truth of the sting of the defamatory charges made. Essentially, the only way to win the trial was to A. Document Irving's political views and associations with extremist neo-Nazi groups. B. Examine Irving's work to see whether Irving did indeed falsify the historical record as Lipstadt had claimed he did. Oh, and one other third tiny detail. They had to prove that the Holocaust actually happened. And so we arrive at denial, which does feature an impressive cast. Rachel Weisz is spellbinding as Deborah Lipstadt, the academic who finds herself ensnared in the clutches of English law. Fortunately, she is assisted by Sherlock's Andrew Scott, thankfully for once not playing a hyperactive 10-year-old, as British solicitor Anthony Julius, and the always incredible Tom Wilkinson as Richard Rampton QC. Facing off against them is the magnificent Timothy Spall as David Irving, who set this whole thing in motion. Filmed mostly in London, Rachel Weisz and a small film crew were given permission to film at Auschwitz-Birkenau, the Nazi death camp in Poland where almost 1 million Jews died. Some may claim that the film is slow, which it isn't in the slightest. The film is thorough. It sets up the characters and the stakes before taking us inside the courtroom, in which all of the dialogue is taken verbatim from the trial records. We see the lawyers do their jobs, planning and preparing and making sure that nothing is left to chance in a trial of such importance that now seems to have almost been forgotten. The camera is held steady, allowing us to look and see rather than be distracted by quick editing, meaning that we can focus on what's been said. We know enough about the characters to care, but the film understands that none of them are on trial, that history itself is at stake. Naturally, in dealing with such a sensitive topic, the film tends to be a rather serious affair, with jokes rather thin on the ground, and it's shot in a serious, somber manner, but to do anything else to my mind would be unthinkable. Guaranteed a spot on my top 10 list already, Denial is an amazing courtroom film with an all-star cast giving amazing performances based on arguably one of the most important court cases in the latter half of the 20th century. Drop everything, see it now, and read that book afterwards. But what do you guys think, and what is your favourite courtroom drama? I'm Daniel, this has been A Dunking. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe.